Hello, here we are, Undisputed Boxing, the news edition. Big fights announced for the 1st of May, and we're going to cut through some other news as well. I'm here with Rick. So we finally got it. Derek Chisora versus Joseph Parker, and pretty stacked out card actually. What's your first reaction to that?
Yeah, just pleased that's been announced, because we were almost saying last week, oh, have they missed the boat? And, you know, quite a lot of fights being announced now, but there are still some that you're kind of waiting for. So it was good to get this announced. I mean, we knew midweek it was going to come on Friday, and there was no, I think from Wednesday I kind of was happy it was going to happen. So yeah, I think the main event, well, there's two main events because there's a co-main event. But yeah, this fight, excited for. I think it's a very tough one, and sorry, 50-50. Not quite sure how I lean towards at the moment. I think it's quite hard to predict. I have to think about it before we get to prediction time. Taylor's, Chiefs. Well, I don't think the Chiefs. I think they're joint co-main event actually. So, I was a bit surprised with Taylor's opponent though. I thought, considering she's drew her last fight against Ball, I think it was Ball she drew against in the at fight camp. Then I'm surprised she got the Taylor fight. But I just think it's one of those where they had an awesome fight in the Olympics, and in the female division, you can lose a fight, win a fight, and you can be back up to fighting the best again. It's that shallow. Yeah. So yeah, a bit disappointed with some of the others after that, because I just thought, I don't know, I look at that main fight and I think that's 50-50. I think the Katie Taylor fight, I think she is a level above. I think we'll win that. And then I think the others are not 50-50s.
No.
So it's good that some of them are getting out with them, like Eubank, but I don't think they're competitive.
No, I'd probably agree with that. And it goes back to this, what I said about this, because we talked about this in the news before, about this being pay-per-view worthy. I really don't think it's a pay-per-view fight. And the fact that it's supposedly a stacked card. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're intriguing fights, but I don't see it as, big 50-50 fights. And yeah, I don't see it as pay-per-view, but I mean, we've had that debate. We don't need to go down that road again. But yeah, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. hasn't fought for nearly 2 years. And that fight that he had nearly 2 years ago was a three or four round. I think it was Dmitry Chudanov, or no, Fedor Chudanov. It was one of those. I always get those two mixed up. But anyway, I think he retired, and then it was a technical knockout for Chris Eubank Jr. And then the fight before that was James DeGale, which I remember watching with my son, he's nearly 4 now. He was, I think, 18 months at that time. So yeah, he's not been active enough, and his career is kind of, it's just been very stop start, been very, very frustrating. But I mean, I'll take it if he's going to be in another fight in 2 or 3 months down the line. If this is a tune up, and then he gets straight back into another big fight. But yeah, we'll see what he's got. So that's against Marcus Morrison, and then Dimitri Bivol versus Craig Richards. And I don't think this will have been sold to Craig Richards like this, but for Dimitri Bivol, I think this is a tune-up fight. Really, I don't see how Craig Richards has anything for Dimitri Bivol. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's my thing really. It's almost like there's some big names on there, but it's not. I mean, yeah, I am a bit slightly disappointed, I think. And it's stuck almost in the middle of a pay-per-view, and it's obviously very strong. It's a very strong Saturday night, but it's hard. But it's like pay-per-views should be a very big jump from Saturday night, and it's not a big enough jump. I think if you'd had Eubank in with someone better, and I get that he's not fought in ages, and therefore maybe he should have just been on a separate Saturday night headlining against someone, and or there should be another fight pushing them further down.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right, Craig Richards. I just see that as it's a not really that competitive. I think he'd get cleaned out.
Yeah.
Bivol didn't look great in his last fight, and he's been inactive. So you could argue that things even up slightly in the world of boxing, but don't know. So it's weird. It's a great card. I'll be looking forward to it. But I think I might be a bit disappointed because I expected more competitive fights for the bigger names.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I think there is talk of maybe 1 or 2 more being added to it. So let's see if there's any more fights added to it.
The Savage, I think, might be on it.
Oh, really?
Babbage, I think so.
That'll add a bit of spice. You're like his biggest fan, aren't you, Alan Babbage?
Yeah, I think he's entertaining. He'll get cleaned out at some point soon, but
yeah,
enjoying the ride.
I think so.
Just another thing that we always prepare a little bit of a list, don't we, before we go into the news? And something I forgot, but it links to this is there is going to be a fight camp.
Okay.
Again, and it reminded me when I mentioned Savage then, because and the Ball fight as well. So there's going to be a fight camp. Apparently, it's going to be going to start the last weekend of July, which may be a couple of weeks after the Joshua fight. We'll see, Joshua Fury fight. But it's going to be back at Matchroom headquarters. But we'll be allowed crowds then. So I don't know if they're going to get stands in or what. I suppose they'll know if there's room for how many people. I'm quite looking forward to that because I think it's the thing of hopefully there'll be less restrictions, so they don't need to do the whole bubble thing, but there'll just be 4 fight nights in a row there. I think that's quite something to look forward to for the summer.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no talk of who's going to actually be on there then. I guess it's just going to be, it's a good way, if he does it kind of 4 weeks in a row, it's a good way to keep, because he's got so many fighters now, hasn't he? Eddie Hearn, like to keep them busy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, last time he ended, and whether it's five, because I think he did 4 in a row. I think they might be doing 5 in a row because I think they're going to start on the last week of July and go all the way through to the end of August. And whether they'll end on a pay-per-view show, because I suppose if you do one May the 1st, early July, you can probably get away with another pay-per-view end of August. So they may do a pay-per-view at the end.
Yeah, I think that'll be maybe Josh Warrington. So Josh Warrington is going to rematch Maurizio Lara. I think that's been slated for August, September time. So maybe that'll be thrown in there somewhere. But I think I would have thought that will probably be in Leeds, though, won't it? With the crowd, if the crowds are back.
I'd have thought so, yeah. I mean, that fight, I don't think that's going to be pay-per-view, though, that rematch. No. It was meant to be the unification that was going to be, not the unification, when he stepped up and fought the guy who was meant to fight a few months later. That was going to be pay-per-view, I think, on the 1st of May.
Yeah. Yeah, Kanzu.
You know, we'll see. I think, yeah, I mean, maybe like if White's fighting this weekend, he probably would be due out end of August if he wins. So it could be a slot for White.
Well, did you hear Maurizio Sullivan's comments from the WBC? So they'd really like to have Wilder versus White as a final eliminator for the WBC title.
Yeah, it's interesting that because it's suddenly, is that harsh on White because he's had to wait so long, but then he did lose, and so almost does it start again? So he has to have another, fight, and then it seems a bit thingy on, I suppose you could argue 2 ways with Wilder. It's almost like, well, you got beat, and now suddenly you can fight one more, and you're mandatory again. But then again, there's an argument with the contract and all that, I suppose. But yeah, I think that'll be a different mate with Wilder actually, because I think the splits will be difficult, and yeah, I don't know how. There's no title you know, at play. So they'll want a lot of money for that fight, rather than if it's for the title, a lot of money comes with that, and you're fighting for a title.
Yeah.
So even if you're a little bit short, you're like, well, but it's my title shot. This is not even that. But then again, if you want the title shot, you might have to go through it. I don't know. Tricky one. On the back of the third day, obviously you've got Eubank fighting, warm up, and then there's rumours of him fighting. And this again could be the one for this could be again for the final fight camp. Eubank and Brook.
I really don't like that fight. I don't like that fight at all. I mean, I'm a big Kell Brook fan, but I just think that is close to, you know, really irresponsible matchmaking. You know, Kell Brook just looks so undersized against Triple G when they fought, and I think to put him in there with Chris Eubank Jr., which I presume will be at middleweight, I just think it's really irresponsible matchmaking. I'd be very be very concerned if that was to be made, if they take it seriously. But here's the sad thing: I think that Kell Brook would be, I think it'd entertain it, because I don't think the Kell Brook fight, the Amir Khan fight, is going to be arriving anytime soon. And it's well documented that, you know, Kell Brook is just really prize fighting now. He just wants the biggest fight, the biggest names, the biggest money, and that will, unfortunately, I mean, that will sell. That will probably be a pay-per-view fight. You know, there's a lot of bad blood between the two of them. And actually, when you put them next to each other, you know, when they square off, Kell Brook is probably not that much shorter than Chris Eubank Jr. But, you know, his overall frame, he's small. He's a smaller guy, and, you know, weight categories are there for a reason. I just think it would be a very dangerous fight for Kell Brook. Not just a dangerous fight, but a dangerous fight, you know, for his health. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. We're disagreeing a lot this week. I don't see it quite as badly as you do. One, I think Kell Brook shouldn't be at 147 anyway, and he has to really train to get down there. I think he's naturally a, you know, the weight division higher. So he's only going to go at one from that. And Eubank is more of a middleweight, and he's not known for power. He's known for kind of combinations and speed. So I get some of your argument. I don't think it's really, really wrong to make the fight. I think, you know, he is going to give some weight away and all that, but I don't see it the same as a Triple G thing.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. We can agree to disagree on that one. I think Chris Eubank Jr. is pretty tight at middleweight, because I know he missed weight a few times at middleweight, and he had to go away and skip. He had like a couple of hours to make weight. I think it was maybe the Tom Doran fight. One of those anyway. I think it was definitely with Matchroom, and yeah, he missed weight by, you know, it was a few pounds, but but there wasn't much, you know, left to lose. Which is why I was quite surprised when they said he's going to go back down to middleweight, because I just thought he has a hard time making it, whether he's living the life or not. I mean, who knows? But yeah, we'll see. Well, let's see him. He's got to get through Marcus Morrison first.
It depends as well. I mean, Brook will need a comeback fight before he goes. You'd have thought he needs a comeback fight, and he didn't. He doesn't look like he had much punch resistance in his last fight. I did put a lot of that down to kind of weight, but if it is just natural no punch resistance, then he could be in a mess against Eubank, though I suspect he will have better resistance because of being at a higher weight. So I'm not saying it's over competitive, but I don't think it's irresponsible. I think that word's a bit too strong.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So fight camp is. What else have we got?
We've got Texas being announced for Canelo Billy Joe, so 70,000. Screaming Mexicans will be there. No Brits, the sounds of it. Mm-hmm. No Brits are going to be able to get over there. But I think that's, well, I think it's just good for boxing. You can have like a fullish stadium. Mm. You know, I think it'll look great on TV. Listening to her, he said, you know, that they're going to up the kind of entrances even more, and even Billy Joe's going to get, you know, a great entrance because he's also a champion. I don't think it's. I mean, I've heard some people say, "Oh, this is bad for Billy Joe Saunders because he's going to have loads of screaming people against him." I think he's just one of those where he just it might even help him.
Yeah.
You'll get the best out. I still don't think he'll win, but I still think we'll get the best that he can give at this time of his career, being up against it. So I actually think it could help having all those people against him.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like Hearn is going all out, isn't he, with Canelo, and he's almost kind of using this opportunity to promote Canelo as it's almost putting himself in the shop window to all the other boxers that are maybe considering their options with their promotional outfits, going, look, this is what we can do for you guys. There's obviously Teofimo Lopez has got his problems with Top Rank, and I mean, who knows that PBC, the PBC fighters just seem to be so inactive. They're having one fight a year, it seems to me.
You seen? Did you see the comments or the statement that he put out? I mean, there's that picture with them two. It's quite cringe. But then Canelo's saying he's the best promoter in the world, and basically my whole team and training team should be a part should be with him. Now by that it means Garcia, Ruiz.
Yeah.
That other these training. Who's the other heavyweight that they're training that's in that camp?
Andy Ruiz. Oh, Frank Sanchez, is he in there?
Frank Sanchez, yeah. So imagine like Hearn picked all them up. I mean, Hearn's now, people like question when he went in to America, and they're still, I listen to a lot of the American channels, and they still, they're very still against him and stuff. And he's now got the two biggest fighters on the planet probably, and he's doing regular fights with DAZN, and he's probably going to get in a position where he's got too many fighters. But I wouldn't be surprised in a. I wouldn't say he's dominant, but he's one of the dominant now.
Yeah.
He has the presence, and he's gone to one of the dominant. And I could see in 2 years him being the dominant.
Yeah, it's a really strange statement to put out there, isn't it? And it's a real dig at Oscar De La Hoya, because I mean, let's not forget, Oscar De La Hoya got Canelo to where he is now, really, to the pound for pound #1 pay-per-view star. Oscar De La Hoya knows how to sell a fight. He did it. I don't know. I did see that statement. I thought it was a little bit strange, but it's obviously good for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom.
Yeah. Final bit of news. Well, it's just more on the AJ. We obviously did our first midweek video, and it was the AJ Fury announcement of the signing. And any follow-ups then? I mean, basically all I've seen is a little bit more from her, a bit from Warren. Warren playing it down a bit, seems to be have a bit of a, like he always is, a bit bitter, saying that he shouldn't have announced anything. Hearn says he didn't announce, he just confirmed something in an interview and he okayed it with Fury's team, and a bit back and forth. But Warren is playing it down a little bit more and almost is just saying things like weird things like, it might be better in the autumn, and it's like it probably can't happen in the autumn for Undisputed.
No, it won't.
You know what I mean? It's a weird thing that Hearn's coming out with. Sorry, not Hearn. Warren's coming out with. So if it's in the autumn, that means they're going to have to, unless they mean neither fight, and then so they're not fighting in June or July. They wait until September, October, but neither have a fight. That's even worse for Fury, because that will be like even longer he's not fought for.
I think if they were to
the WBO will just say
would have a tune-up fight. I think that's why they want to. I think that's the noise. That's what I'm reading into it. Fury wanting to delay it a few more months so that they can have a tune-up against Ajit Kabayel, somebody like that, just to kind of shake off the ring rust and then go into the fight.
Why they didn't do that in December though? I know they were doing the legal battle things, but I mean, Hearn's basically said if it doesn't happen in the summer, we'll probably lose the fight, and then it'll be, neither will want to take blame. Warren will be like, well, the double. You might get a thing where Joshua will have to fight Usyk in the summer to keep hold of the WBO, and then you may be able to get Undisputed. because I don't think the IBF are calling it until next February.
Mm.
And then the others call it, the WBA and WBC, probably not.
No.
So you might be able to. It is a risk that will Joshua be music.
Yeah. Well, in a way, it's kind of a power play, isn't it, from Hearn and AJ, basically saying we've signed the fight, we're signed up, we're ready, we're just waiting on them now. So it kind of puts them pressure on them to kind of go through with it. And then obviously, as soon as there's anything remotely negative from the other side, then they're going to be straight away put to blame. And that's exactly what's happened. You know, Warren has been a little bit negative. Oh, they don't want it. And then Fury was a little bit negative last week. Oh, Fury's going to be ducking. So it kind of it's a smart move in a way, because it kind of puts the pressure back on them, saying, look, we've signed it, we're ready to go. But yeah, I just hope we get it. I'm kind of a bit sick of talking about it now, to be honest. Yeah, I just want it done.
Yeah, I know. I think it'll go a bit silent. I mean, I think what's happening is, I think on Monday they're meeting again just to go through. I think basically Hearn's dealing with certain sites and they're dealing with certain sites, and they're going to come together and say, right, this is how the offers are looking, and then they're going to come back the following week and go, right, these are final bids. What do we want for?
Yeah.
And what I hope is don't go, you know, Fury just goes, well, you know, they're only bidding 100 million. It could be 150 if we do it in autumn. Why don't we wait till the autumn? And then Hearn just going, well, we're not doing it in the autumn. You can't get undisputed in the autumn. And then it falls apart. And I think that if that, you know, they'll argue different things, but I think if that was the real case, it will be seen as, why is 100 million not good enough? And anyway, you contracted to do 2 fights. So your second fight will be in the autumn or the winter.
Yeah. All right. Keeping everything crossed. Fingers crossed.
So yeah. Okay. Do you have any other news? You want to talk about your fella at all, or?
No, I think that's it. I think apart from what we've talked about, I think it's been a bit of a slow news week. I think Errol Spence versus Jonas Ugas is being heavily talked about now. That'll be for the summer, and that'll be for that's a unification. Manny Pacquiao's a little bit quiet. I don't think he's close to agreeing anything. I have heard Mikey Garcia. That'll be obviously stateside. And Jaime Munguia versus Triple G, which I've been quite excited about. Doesn't look like it's going to happen now, because Jaime Munguia is in talks with Machi Sulecki, who recently lost to Demetrius Andrade. So that's a real shame. I don't know what's happening with Triple G, actually. He seems to have gone very quiet. He was in lengthy discussions with Golden Boy to fight Jaime Munguia, and he's now gone very quiet. I don't know what's happening there.
Hearn just said he's not involved in his kind of strategy and who he fights. He's just involved in the promotion of an event, and so he just said when there's an event being called, we'll deal with it. But other than that,
right.
Garcia looks like he's stepping up out of 147. Did we mention that? I can't remember.
No, I don't think we did. No, so Danny Garcia is stepping up to 154. I did see that though. Yeah. That's
well, I don't know if it's confirmed. It looks like it. And he talked about having a couple of warm-up fights, and then Thurman up there now.
No, I think he's still at 147. Yeah, I mean the 147. We've talked about this before. It just seems to be very.
He mentions Thurman in his statement.
Yeah,
he mentions like Thurman in his statement as if Thurman's stepping up as well.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right. Do you know much about this this card in Uzbekistan?
Who's that?
Admakliev, the heavyweight. No, not the heavyweight. The Madrimov, Israel Madrimov. The light middleweight. It was one of my prospects for 2021, along with Edgar Balanga. Anyway, I think that's on the 3rd of April in Uzbekistan. Yeah. All right. We'll skim over that one. All right. Is there any other news? Anything else?
I think we've bored everyone enough.
All right. Okay. Thanks for everybody for listening. What we're going to do next week?
Well, one of us is going to look stupid when we do our video on the White Povetkin fight.
Yeah.
We'll have to do predictions on the Ben fight because I think that's the following week.
No, that's on the 10th. The following week is Jamal Herring versus Carl Frampton. That's on the 3rd in Dubai.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that will be on a decent time. Who's broadcasting that?
That's a good question. I don't think is it on BT? It should be on BT, but it's in Dubai and it's actually an MTK fight, I believe, or production. I don't know what channel it'll be on.
More likely to be BT, unless they've sold it to Premier Sports or something.
Maybe.
See, I'm okay. Okay.
But yeah, we'll do a prediction for that, and then maybe we can do one of our history videos. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about that next week. All right, cool. Thanks everybody for listening. Please like and subscribe.